Hey, welcome back guys. Will Robinson here from Robinson's Auto, toolsandtime.com. Next, coming into the shop, we have a 2009 Volkswagen Touareg. It's a TDI. The main complaint is that the windshield wipers are inoperative. It's got a couple other little things I got to do while it's here. However, this is what brought it into the shop today. I did start doing some initial troubleshooting. I already have the windshield wipers removed along with the cowl panel. And as we start digging deeper, I'll show you my process of elimination that brought me to that point. I haven't went much further, and I want to backtrack and bring you guys along with me. One of the first things I want to mention, if you're having trouble with one of these VWs or anything that incorporates the hood latch with the wiper system, you want to make sure your hood is completely closed because that will stop the wipers from running. I usually manipulate it, and I simply do that by taking a screwdriver and latching it manually. Right down here, you'll feel the latch, hitting it, latch it in place, and that'll close the contacts on that switch and give the okay for the wiper system to run. Okay, so the first thing I did was came in here and verified that the wipers aren't working. Keys on, engine's off. The rear wiper works fine. Windshield washers work. I don't want to do it now because I have the cowl panel off and some things exposed out there. Now we could go as far as going down and following the schematic, making sure we had the right resistance going to the dash module. There's a lot of stuff going on with the CAN bus, and it goes through multiple directions. If we had a higher end scanner, we could verify those inputs and whatnot, or try doing a command. However, with the tools that we have, I got my OBD interface plugged in, pulled up some codes, 00908, which is a control module for the wiper motor. That's where it led me into the direction that it's not getting any kind of response from that module to the CAN bus. We have our front wiper motor control module right here, and as you can see, it's incorporated with the wiper motor. First wire, number 1, red, goes all the way up to fuse panel B, fuse 8, 30 amp. Okay, so we want to verify that that's good. Pop it off. I found the location of the fuses. From the far right, when you're looking at it, will be 1, 2, 3, all the way over to 7 and 8. Down here by the emergency brake, there's a little bolt. That seemed to be a good ground. I'm going to be using my old test light. It has a light bulb. It's like a 194. Puts a little bit of load on the circuit, and on this side of the circuit we're okay. And 8 to 30, right? Perfect. So if you have power on both sides, those fuses are good. Then we have orange with brown tracer. Comes up, comes over here to our radio navigation display control module. Okay, looks like it's piggyback there. Goes around and then goes to your computer data lines. So this is on the bus system. Then you come over here, you got orange and violet. That comes up here, goes to the radio navigation display control module as well. Looks like it's piggybacked on 9. Back around to your computer data lines. That's where it gets a little tricky. That's where we'll have to use an oscilloscope. Make sure we have activity. Number 5, we got, looks like white. Comes around to a rain light, so it determines if it's raining outside or whatnot. That goes from here, and then it appears that this one's on another fuse 7. It's a 5 amp, right?
Yes.
So you have power on both sides if your fuse is good. This is your multi-function switch, windshield wiper switch. And that has a bunch of resistors. Depending on what position you put it on, will give it a different resistance, varying that signal to that module, and then it codes it from there. So what would we look at first? I would probably just aim for these fuses, make sure all these fuses are good, then go out to the wiper motor, fuses 7, 8, and 53. So we'll just count back from 55, 54, 53 is a 5 amp?
Yeah.
Okay. Then go out to the wiper motor, make sure I have a good power and ground. It looks like our red, hot at all times. And then you have a brown wire, which is your ground. So we can make sure our power and ground is good. And then we have to come over to the CAN bus. I already have the 2 CAN signal wires probed. For this video demonstration, I want to verify that we have power and ground. So we have our big red wire and our brown wire. So this should be positive and negative. I found a good ground to be this little stud that's on the firewall. So we got our red wire. Should be hot. As you see, we do have power present. I'm going to hook it up to where I had the battery charger. There's a little lug for your positive. You don't have to get down to the battery. So with this, I should be able to touch on a good ground, and it should illuminate the light bulb like so. As long as our brown wire has a good ground, it should light up this test light, and it does. So we have power and ground present. Now we just got to monitor the CAN bus, make sure we have activity. If we look here, we know our orange with brown tracer is one data line, and our orange with violet tracer is our second. So it's going to be our high and low CAN lines. So wiper motor, guys, it's going to be very difficult to troubleshoot. And in most cases it wouldn't if I had the right tools for the job. And that's key. And I'll be the first one to admit I don't have the right tools for this job. So don't be too hard on me. So I'm trying to justify my next step. And I got to get somewhere with the tools I have at hand. So what do we have so far? We have a loss of communication to the J400 control module, which is the control module for the wiper motor. All of our power and grounds are present. So what else could I do with the tools I have? I have an old school oscilloscope. I could hook up to the data bus lines and I can see if we have activity. I'm not going to be able to decrypt these messages because, as you guys are aware that know this system, all we're going to be seeing every data package. I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly what data package was meant to go to that control module. So I did a little bit of research on this, and what I found is that there's been known cases where people have tampered with, say, the radio and interrupted the data bus lines going out to the J400 control module. So say they put an aftermarket stereo system in it, later find out that their windshield wipers don't work. And I kind of confirmed that by the wiring schematic. As you've seen, those data lines go right to that connector. And they both look like they piggyback. I'm not 100% certain. But this next step may eliminate all that as being a possibility. So my hopes are we go out there and we have an active data packages going across in binary code or whatever you want to look at it as, payloads. It's one of them topics we could sit here all day and talk about, but then we start getting into the identifiers, the data lengths, and everything that's incorporated and making up this data packages that are going across this data stream, and how you have your dominant bits of zeros and your recessive bits of ones. I'm far from being an expert, guys, and there's a lot of information out there that'll lead you in a much better direction. I'm just simply trying to do my best with what I got. So a brief summary for this controller area network. It's essentially using a common data bus lines. It's your CAN high and CAN low. And there's independent control modules throughout the system. And with a loss of communication code, at the very least, I can see inactive bus lines. And that'll at least make me feel a little better. Here's a glass of water. Take 2 of these and call me in the morning. So with the CAN bus system, you have a data stream, and it's using binary code, ones and zeros, highs and lows. And these are actually data packages. These are certain commands that are going out to certain modules on a data stream. There's a lot of independent modules throughout the system. Like today we're working on a windshield wiper, and I just want to make sure I had an active data stream at that wiper motor. I could turn the key on, you can see this thing get super active. I could throw the wiper on, put it on high, intermediate, but I have no way of decrypting this message, these data packages. There is software out there. We'll just see how active this data stream really gets. And now you're seeing a lot of different packages going through that data stream. And there are certain priorities or certain levels. And there's a way to read this message that it is sending. You have this packed bus, you got a hallway, and you got all these independent seats. They're all talking, but they're all united, per se. They're all in that same environment, working together. If that makes sense. For instance, on this Volkswagen Touareg, the wiper motor uses a J400 module. That's the designation that it was given. It comes with the wiper motor. The wiper motor is very expensive because of this. And a lot of times if you buy one brand new, you'll have to get it coded for it to know what it's doing on this data stream. However, sometimes if you buy a remanufacturer, you'll plug them in and it's plug and play and you're pretty good to go. So with everything we gathered, with the tools that I have on hand, I can't really go too much further because I have no way of decrypting these data packages, making sure all my signals are good that are controlling that wiper motor. However, I do feel safe enough to say and make the call that I believe it has a bad module. We checked all the fuses, everything looked good. We went right out to the module on the wiper motor. All our power was present. We have an active data stream. I'm going to remove that wiper motor. It's going to have to be the whole transmission assembly with the motor and the module. We'll bring it over to the bench. Hopefully we find something obvious. Make me feel much better. Next we're going to take and remove the retaining bolts for the wiper assembly transmission T30. That one here. One more here. One more on this far side. And one more down low right here. Okay, and then if you come in from the front side, it might be easier for you to remove this top cover, but you'll have two more T30s. One here of that size. What I used was a T30 socket ratchet. This cover will simply pop up out. Then with your socket and ratchet, you could remove these two T30s. There's a little plastic clip that retains this harness down in there. Just take and pop that open. And then you got this little push-in one that goes to the chassis of your wiper transmission. Pop that out. Looks like you can just tilt it. Careful, you are around the windshield and paint. So here we have it. Okay, so I think I found a problem without even opening it up. If you look underneath, you can see how it's all rusted. Hopefully you guys can see that. Well, when I tilted this, pulling it out, my hand got wet. So I'm assuming the seal is not 100%. It seems as though if I push down on the clip, I get behind it with a pick or something. These aren't, it says non-serviceable, but I got a new one coming. Alright. I feel like there's something hanging up right in this back side. Looks like it's the wires for the motor. It's probably what this little seal here is for. Oop. Well, they broke easy. Huh. like everything's just rotted away. Look at the water inside here. Let's see if I can give you guys a better shot. I don't know if you guys are able to see. All the moisture inside this. I would say we found our problem. Oh, yeah. Lovely. You can see all the corrosion taking place. There's one for the trash. Being inside these electronics, who knows what it's doing to the system, but it never blew a fuse. Needless to say. I don't think there's any more troubleshooting needed for that one. If we were able to just get this upper portion, and it came with some kind of sealing plug here, we'd be able to desolder it, put it together, then resolder it, seal it, just like if they were rebuilding it at a reman shop, you know. Consumers can do the same thing if they have the right tools. It's just getting access to these parts. That's where they try to keep your hands behind your backs when it comes to doing stuff like that. They try to limit your options. Alright, so we just found out that we're not going to be able to get the wiper motor for a couple days, so I'm going to move it outside. You just got to remember to release the hood latch before shutting the hood. Hey Tammy, want to release it? Alright, we're going to leave the covers and everything off for now. I don't see any tools, do you?
Nope.
Okay, so we got the new wiper motor in, just arrived.